Conversation as we are also in a space and a moment whereby we are, of course, having conversation with a man that said something. And I feel like I just want to, before I even get to introduce you, ask you this question. Why do men self-worth is also connected to money? You know, because I also heard you making a statement earlier on saying that, the way even things are, if a man does not have money, it's like he loses his identity. That's how a community has also structured men, that if you don't have no money, you are not a man, or rather not man enough. Thank you very much for joining us today. That is something that I've had. I hope that you're good, and I hope that today we are going to be having, of course, a different conversation, as I heard that you are also CEO.
Not the chief executive officer.
But it is CEO.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't call me prof for nothing. It's not prof for professor, but it's prof for something. Thank you very much for joining us today. How does it feel to be here and to be, joining and getting to be speaking and making presentations, just to speak to men as well today?
Thank you so much for having me. Good day to your listeners.
Yeah.
Myself, it is a privilege to be here, to be invited to such an occasion where we get to speak to men, capacitate men, empower men, to take up spaces and lead, as it is their natural
think about your worth.
disposition to
What do you have to
lead.
give to the world?
And most men have
No,
lost
they take it for granted.
their identity
because
because of so many ills.
doesn't matter what noise.
And when you try
It's
to
made of his
diagnose
brilliance and all of
those
that.
ills,
But
it always boils
ignore the
down to
noise.
their
Ignore
socioeconomic
the noise.
status.
Ignore the noise.
When
Always
a man
remind
is
yourself
not
by kneeling
able
down,
to
praying,
participate
meditating, whilst you're
meaningfully
cleaning,
in the economy,
in the process cleaning, taking a
that
bath.
man,
of your soul.
he is stripped. And he
When you're
feels like,
meditating, you are
he is
decluttering.
naked.
It's all the rubbish.
And
That's
the
in you.
world looks and
You pray because there's
scorns and
somebody
laughs
that's
at
called
him
the Almighty, the Creator,
simply because he is not
And he's gonna
able to
direct.
contribute
Maybe give us a direction.
meaningfully
He's talking about.
to his family,
But always remind yourself.
to the
I
community
am a
at
man.
large.
Yeah.
And man,
So it is
I
important
aim remain.
to,
That's my mantra.
have this
But what difference am I
conversation
making today?
and be part of the discourse.
The fast gathering.
How do we
what is
return
one-
man
one-
to
one
his
thing?
position,
Yeah.
One good
where
thing
he
that I
can
make
lead
achieve
not
to
only
make
his family,
somebody's life
but lead the
different, or
community,
make a difference in some- or
lead
make
the
a smile.
city, lead the province,
But
lead
is
the
that willing
country,
back?
lead
Because
the
like,
continent,
it's a home,
and the
but
globe
she's
at
the
large.
one Attack, a gentleman.
Africa is said to be,
I want us to be on the same platform.
one of the wealthiest continents
That's how I
when it
want to
comes
direct this.
to mineral resources.
So I'm going to ask the next speaker. and
You've
the
got
next
people
item,
from the west that
especially
come
speakers
because of the
who are
resources
succinct,
underneath
not necessarily
you know,
censor your time,
our
but
soil.
to the point.
But
And
Africa
that
is said to be the poorest continent economically.
Maybe find yourself
Now there's a disjuncture there that you have minerals in Africa that
we might be here until 5
are supposed to make us, wealthy as Africans.
President.
But economically, we find ourselves being poor. Now, that tells you that there's a deficiency, perhaps, in leadership, both political and business leadership. Now, we need to build men that will be able to politically and economically lead Africa into business excellence. The next generation and even the current generation should be able to enjoy the fruits of the trees of Africa, the fruits that Africa produces. Before the world can indulge, we need to indulge and nourish our bodies with those fruits. But the irony is that these trees of Africa, they bear fruits, but the fruits are not benefiting us. Yeah. So we are here to say we need to go back to the drawing board, and government is not a panacea for all. It can't solve all our problems. We need, civil society. We need Business South Africa. We need everybody to come into the fore, contributing to the discourse, and together, formulate a model or models that will be able to make people participate meaningfully in the economy. Because once we do that, we bring back dignity to men. And when you bring dignity to men, you bring dignity to households. And once we resolve issues of socioeconomic status that men find themselves in, we would have dealt with issues of substance abuse, with issues of crime. When you diagnose the issue of, for an example, substance abuse, why are many young people involved in substance abuse? The root cause is that their socioeconomic status is dire. Therefore, they then find coping mechanism, like drugs, like alcohol, to be able to cope. Because not being able to provide for yourself or your family, mentally it deals with you as a man. So we are here to look at all facets of men, to say that we need to restore them to their original place. I spoke there about the 8 areas of life that we need to take audit of as men. And if we are able to take care of those areas and be able to be satisfied as far as those areas are concerned, then as men, we will be able to address the many social ills that we find in our society.
If I may ask, and this is a question that I would like to ask, that most of our men, we know that economically they're not doing well. Question would be then, how does a man hold his dignity? How does a man have the hope as well, Because also it is the hope, that I see there's at least light at the end of the tunnel. What are some of the things that, men need to do in order to make sure that their dignity, because the moment my dignity is lost, that's when I get to lose also my identity. And this gets to be some things that are going on with relations and in relations. And I want to ask you this one as well, as to saying that within also that, as men, we have a concept which is called hustlers. Is this a terminology of us being a hustler killing us as men as well? Because of this is something that we look into. Me, I'm a hustler. Yeah, you are a hustler, but are you really making money? Is there any growth? Are you, all of those things? So, what's your view? What's your angle? What's your take on that matter?
Let me start with the latter question.
Yeah.
Men are forced to go out there and hustle because they have tried so many, means and ways into, making a living. And because of the economic landscape of our country, so many doors are shut for those men to participate in those spaces. When you look at, growing and, rich economies around the world, you look at India, you look at China, you find that most people thrive in informal, economies. And from my perspective, I understand that being a hustler, it's about doing, exactly that. Because as men, we are created to be strategists, to find a way to kick doors and hence we'll go into, the hustling mode, that I need to sell something. If, the doors of employment are shut, I need to do something. I've got to hustle because I've got kids to feed. I've got, my family that, looks up to me. I need to bring bread every day. But in this hopeless, economy, you spoke about hope. How do men then get hope when they are not even in a tunnel? They say there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But the question is, are you in a tunnel or are you in a hole? Maybe you're underground and you're thinking it's a tunnel, and you might never live to see the light of day because you are not in a tunnel. Now, tunnels are built, and hope comes by saying that we are intentional. We are building tunnels for men to thrive in this economy. That's what is going to give men hope. The reason why you find men being involved in crime and men from different walks of life is simply because they do not see hope in this economy. And therefore, they think that, they are going to rescue themselves, either legally or illegally, so that they are not stripped of their ego, of their manhood. So we are lamenting that, look, we cannot do this alone as civil society. We need political will. We need business, to also come, so that together we are able to put, a master plan. Because in today's world, the discourse is about women empowerment. It's about take a girl child to work. But what happens to a man? What happens to a boy child? So we need to reconfigure how we've been doing things, so that, at the end of the day, when we cry of issues like GBV, we are also able to bring the perpetrator into the discourse, which most of the time is men. What causes you to be, this animal that every time you would, rear your ugly head in relation to GBV and abuse your family and your children? And you'll only learn that is because men are left out. So they are stripped of their authority to lead because of the imbalances that are created by society and the inequalities that we find in society based on, historical injustices in our country and even current realities that are pro, women empowerment. And as men, we are not against that. But we are saying that we need to find balance so that, when we build a home, as women bring income into a household, men is also able to bring income, and you are able to bring, healthy families. And when you build healthy families, you build healthy communities. You build healthy communities, you build, healthy cities. Healthy cities, they build, healthy provinces. And healthy provinces, they build, a healthy nation. But it all boils down to a household. When the leader, when the head is not functional, the whole body won't be functional. And hence many ills that we find ourselves in.
It's quite one of the most interesting things, because men are not knowing their identity. In your view, what is a man? If you were to paint a picture to this young man and say that, hey, this is what a man should look like. If you are to paint a picture to a young boy there and say that these are the core characters, core beliefs, the core, of a man. What is a man?
That from the original.
There are many definitions of what makes a man. Others might argue that it's by virtue of being born a male, then you become a man. But a man or a male has to go through a process of being taught and mentored in terms of, being a man. Now, a man is a leader. A leader is somebody that is able to translate vision into reality. What is your vision as a man about your life, your family, society at large? Man is supposed to provide. Man is supposed to protect. Man is the first line of defense in terms of his family, in terms of his country. Man must have principles. Man must have values. So such discourses, they enable us to build men, to turn boys into men. So there are different, definitions. But age doesn't make you a man. You can be 40 years and still be a boy. You can be 25 and be a man. Man, it's about maturity. And like I said, maturity is able to put your power under control. So we advocate that men should, attain power in society so that they are able to lead, because, it is in their natural disposition that they should lead. But when they don't know the purpose of that power, then they will tend to abuse it. Yeah. So for me, that is the definition of a man. A man is a leader, and we need to look at all the facets of what makes a leader, of what makes a man, and build them accordingly.
If now we are speaking of the core of a man, what are some of the practical opportunities that you think that men or young men are missing out? And this gets to be the opportunities that get to say that they build you to become a good man. These are overlooked. Also, what habits should we start creating now? To say that this gets to bring you to become a good man. What is it that we need to start doing now? And I'm asking this because most families, they are led by people who are, most households do not have the head, which is the man, and you just said that a man is a leader, meaning that there's no vision within the house, or somebody's lacking a vision. And now the question comes to be, what opportunities then that do we miss? What are some of the things that we miss that get to build us economically? For me, I know personally, volunteering at some point helped me to be what I am today. So what are some of the things that are overlooked at? And what habits do we need to start creating now?
I would use an analogy of soccer. That good teams, good performing teams are managed by good coaches. Now, you can imagine if the likes of your Real Madrid, Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs were without coaches, what would happen?
Can I ask a question? Are you a Real Madrid fan?
No. I subscribe to Shushain and Piano. So in Spain, the Tica-Teca, soccer team is Barcelona. So I support Barcelona. So men, the first thing that a man must have, it's a coach. A coach that will be able to hold you accountable, because that's one of the values that is missing in most men, is that nobody holds you accountable. Now, when you have a coach or coaches, you've got somebody that will be able to say, let's draw, a strategy for your life in terms of how to win matches. Now, I'm using an analogy of soccer. A coach will say, let's come up with a plan so that at the end of the season, you would have won. The opportunities that present themselves in terms of cups, we are able to win them. you need a good coach. So as a man, you need to identify mentors that are going to assist you. Opportunities are there, but you need to have foresight to see the opportunities. And sometimes you create opportunities, as a man. But you will never create those opportunities if you do not have the wisdom and the know-how. So men must invest in knowledge. There must be an episteme as a man that you become intentional about, your knowledge system of the world in terms of politics, in terms of the economy, in terms of so many things that are important in the world. And once you have the knowledge and the wisdom, you are then able to navigate even some of the most difficult, situations in life, and be able to identify opportunities and go for those particular opportunities. If it means going to organizations and volunteering your time and skills, do that, because you never know who's watching you. And somebody might find you volunteering there and escalate you into your next level of life. But if you just sit at home and not go look for opportunities, don't expect opportunities to come looking for you, because you're going to get crumbs. But real men, they go out there and they create opportunities, they kick doors, and in their vocab, no doesn't exist. And I'm saying this in a positive connotation. No doesn't exist in their vocab. But when women say no to you, you must take it. But I'm saying in terms of economic opportunities, when that business proposal, when that CV is rejected at the time, you must not give up. You must wake up the next day, go back again, and the next day, and the other day, until you are able to maximize the opportunities that are there. Because just like, when you want to date a girl and you want to propose to them, it is seldom that a girl will say yes the first time around. So you need to be patient, and you need to change your tactics at times until you are able to win this person. So the same energy that you use to, share like girls must be the same energy that you use to improve your life and look for opportunities that will better, your bank account, that will better, your household.
I want to say or ask this question, that us as men, we are not happy. As South African men, we are not happy. We can see the way we are using alcohol. You can see in terms of crime. You can see in terms of this. What is the one thing that you think we've been pretending long enough as South African men?
Now we need to look at, happiness index. Happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. And, they say blessings and burdens are cousins. So if you are looking for an ideal state where you'll be happy forever, you are delusional. So in this journey of life, there are moments where you'll be happy and there are moments where you'll not be happy. But my advice is that, you should not look for happiness, you should look for peace. Because sometimes looking for happiness is like you are chasing after the wind. But peace says, the storms that are here today will pass. No situation is permanent. In good situations, you tell yourself that, look, this situation will not be here forever. And you accept that. When you're in bad situation, you tell yourself, this situation will not be here forever. And you accept that reality. So you become centered. So we need to collapse this thing that we must look for happiness. we should rather look for peace. And in looking for peace to be centered, we've got to be patient as a nation. There are so many things that, like you are saying, are not making us happy as men. One is our economic status as men. We've been, rejected, by our fathers, by our parents, by girls in society. So many things that, make us or make our happiness levels to be down. But as a wise man, you've got to understand that happiness, it's a byproduct of the journey that you are on. At times you'll be happy, at times you'll not be happy. But in you not being happy, and there are so many issues that when you look around in our country that make us as men not to be happy. You look at the march in march that is happening. That is predominantly led by men. It's because men have had enough and they are not happy because they think, foreign nationals, they come here and they take jobs. And as a result, the men are not able to provide for their families. That makes men not to be happy. How government does things at times, it makes us not to be happy because it's not what we voted for. When they are campaigning, different political parties in terms of their manifestos, then we put them into power, then they do something different. It makes us not to be happy as men. So there are many things that we can look at and say we are not happy about. But the question that we should ask ourselves is that what are we doing about it as men? Because if you are not happy about your shoes or your sneakers being dirty, what do? You wash them, you clean them.
Yeah.
So we need to go back into the drawing board and reconfigure to say certain things we are not happy about. Our kids are indulging in some substance abuse. The economy is not doing well. As men, what are we doing to change the situation? So the happiness index, it's like a mirror, and the mirror will tell you that you've not washed your face properly, and then you start to fix yourself. Then once you fix yourself, then you become happy. But don't be, delusional to think that the happiness is a destiny. We will always, for as long as we are in this world, we'll encounter problems. But as men, you are called a man because you will come up with a strategy in going into war and changing the status quo or challenging the status quo.
Thank you very much for giving us your time, Mr. Just maybe last words to say to men. What do you want to say to men? Just last words.
Men, the nation, the continent, the world is crying. The world communities are lamenting because of so many social ills that are caused by the absence of men, participating meaningfully. So men, take up your position. In your community, take up your position. At work, take up your position. We as Africans have, this proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. The child you see next door that doesn't have school shoes, that is your child. The child that you see next door that doesn't have a father, you must become that father to that child. The children in your family that are fatherless, as an uncle, you must take a position to say that I'll be a father to these children. So that is the role of men, is to provide leadership. When men are absent, then we have deficiency in leadership. So men must take up position and become leaders and challenge the status quo. Things are not, the way we want them to be, but it needs men that have courage. Your Nelson Mandela, our forebearers had courage to challenge the status quo at the time. And we are here, we have achieved liberation in terms of, our democracy. But we haven't achieved economic freedom. Men need to take up their space, need to take up spaces in ensuring that the baton that we have been given, we take it forward. Where our forebears fell short, we salvage those gaps so that our country can become the ideal country that we all envisage for this generation and generations to come.
Thank you very much for your time. We're wishing you the best and the best moving forward. And
thank you so much for also having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it and hope that your listeners have also been empowered. Yeah, so thank you to Capital Media Hub.
Thank you very much. And mtejeriswanga ndiapa noni musine nabone ravarko rekobuya usikare arve erko dere tate erfe jore bakor meninga ngesha ngone last stage.